Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn webinar, Easy PDF, Email, and Fax, Getting the Most Out of Dynamics NAV, brought to you by ArcherPoint and Dynamics NAV Addons. Dynamics NAV is a powerful ERP software application and can be used in a myriad of ways. However, many of us aren't using NAV to its fullest potential, whether it be a need for customized features or just understanding how to set up your specific business workflows. Dynamics NAV straight out of the box is not the typical use case, and add-ons can be the solution to getting the most out of your software. Our speaker today is Bob Cole, Managing Director at Dynamics NAV Addons. Dynamics NAV Addons is an award-winning global developer for add-ons and utilities for Microsoft Dynamics NAV. They've been working with Dynamics NAV and Navision since 1995. In addition to having products that appeal to a broad audience, special care is given so that all of the software products are easy to buy, implement, and use. In today's webinar, Bob will demonstrate how using Easy PDF can benefit your company. He will also show how to use this tool to automatically create batch emails with PDF attachments, create a document distribution list by customer or by document, and store an audit trail in Dynamics NAV. So let's go ahead and get started. Bob, over to you.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. I appreciate the opportunity to present Easy PDF as our most popular add-on and is sold all over the world. Just to start off, it is available for all versions of NAV as far back as NAV 5.0. We have a couple people on 4.0 that are still using it. Let me say first that it is built entirely inside of NAV, and as such it uses a protected range of NAV objects and must be licensed by your NAV partner, and only your NAV partner can do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the very basics and start showing the manual use of the product, and then we're going to start going. You'll see creating an email, and you'll see that it's already addressed, and you'll see that there's a message in the body and the attachment, and we'll take a look at some of the settings and where this information came from. Then we'll start going into some of the automation of what you can have the system do automatically, batch sending, and some of the other features that we've recently added. So starting off, I'm going to go down to NAV. We're in NAV 2017 on screen here. And we're going to go down to posted documents, and we're going to open up a posted sales invoice. So we'll view that. And then if we go over to actions, we've added up in the ribbon the ability, an Easy PDF pane that says you can send by email plus print a hard copy, fax the document, or use the preferred communication method, which we're going to talk about when we get into the setup and the automation. So we have a document here, and all we have to do is click on send by email, and the program opens what's going to get sent. This is what will be sent minus this line right here, and you'll notice that we have HTML. Now, one of the things that we have to be a little careful of is some of the older versions of NAV don't support some of the latest features, and including HTML. Having an HTML message body is available starting in NAV 2015, 2016, 2017. Older versions of NAV will only allow the usage of text messages. So that's something to be aware of. There's a few other things that also are only available in some of the newer versions. So at this point, we have the email is addressed, and we have it sent to Bob at Dynamics NAV Addons and Phil at Dynamics NAV Addons. We have the subject, which is sales invoice number 103033, and there's the attachment, a posted sales invoice 103033, which if we open up, you'll see that this is, we have, at this point, we've used the default native NAV invoice report, which in fact nobody in the NAV world actually uses, and when we start looking at where stuff came from, we'll take a look and say, how would we use your own, because every company has their own version of the posted sales invoice. How do we easily make it so that we use your version and not the native NAV version? And it literally takes seconds. So there's the PDF, and then we have the whole message. Dear the Canon Group PLC, so you can see that we've merged this in from this posted sales invoice. Please find an invoice for your order number and 1003, and in this case we're merging in the data from the field external document number placed on this your order date. So should you have any questions, and yada yada yada. So you can set this up. Now this is a template that we provide along with the purchase of EasyPDF. You can use anything you want. This isn't you can use any HTML editor. You can send a text message if that's what you prefer, and you can have colors, and you can have wallpaper. You can make this look you can put your company logo in. You can do anything you want, and we'll take a look where this message body came in and how it was configured. So this functionality, this send by email, send by fax, is available on some 23 different documents. All of the sales documents, sales quote, sales order, all of the purchasing documents, service documents, some of the financial documents are all available. They all have this link. So let's take a quick look and see if we go over to the purchase side of things, because one of the uses that we encourage companies using EasyPDF to do is to use this to send their purchase orders. So if we open up a purchase order, for example, we go to Edit, same thing. We have in the Actions tab, we have Send by Email. So they take this PO, and as soon as the purchasing department is finished with it, all they have to do is click on Send by Email, and it opens up. Now, the reason I don't have an email address in here is because I haven't configured one for Coolwood Technologies. So let's take a look and see where this stuff came from. How did it know the message? How did it know what to put in the message body? How did it know where to grab the email addresses from? And on the example that I used, we had multiple email addresses. In fact, you can configure it to have to send to as many email addresses as you want. So let's go back and go to Departments, and I'm going to open up a link to EasyPDF Setup. And there's some basic setup that we have to do. Now, one of the things that, one of the questions that frequently comes up is, does this work with Office 365 Outlook? Does it work, do you have to have Outlook installed? By default, all manually sent documents are sent via Outlook. All batches, which we'll get to in a little bit, are sent using SMTP, which is a mail transport protocol. Now, some people prefer to use SMTP for all outgoing mail, which is how I have it set. So that preview window you just saw was not Outlook, it was actually an SMTP image that was set up. Now, there are pros and cons to using SMTP or Outlook, and it's really an end-user preference which one they're going to use. If you use Outlook, then what's going to happen is it's going to actually store a sent copy of the email in the sender's out box, the sent box, okay? But it will also automatically attach the sender's email address and name from their Outlook account. Now, a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to use an alias along the lines of what you see in Amazon or some of the other big online stores, they want to use an alias, something called an alias. So if you use SMTP, you can use an alias, and if you use Outlook, you can't. So we have this set up to be sales is the sender's name and sales at Dynamics NAV Addons. One of the things that you can do with EasyPDF is you can have a different alias for each user. So you can set this up so that the accounting people say accounting at, the sales people say sales at, the purchasing people say purchasing, and so forth. Now this email address doesn't have to actually exist. It's like no reply at. It's an alias. It's something that satisfies the need to have an email address on there. I'm not going to go through all of the setup functions, but I do want to go over to the document list. So from setup, we can click on documents up in the ribbon, and we can see a list of all of the documents that EasyPDF is pre-configured to be able to send. Okay? Now, you can actually configure this with about 10 or 15 minutes worth of programming work. If there are documents that you want to send that are not in this list, about 10 or 15 minutes worth of work can be added to this list. It does take a programmer to be able to do it, but it's a very quick change. So here you see that we have posted purchase invoices, posted purchase receipts, posted sales invoices and credit memos, purchase orders, purchase quotes, sales orders, sales quotes, sales return orders, and here's one that here's a couple that people really like. If you're using NAV's electronic fund transfer functions, EFT payments, you can automatically create a batch of remittance advices and send them during the export of the remittance advice. So this will allow you to be able to send a remittance advice whenever you're exporting payments. Should you forget to send the remittance advice, okay, for some reason it doesn't get sent, or they come back afterwards and they ask, your vendor asks you for a copy of the payment, this will go into the vendor payment receipt table in the vendor ledger entry table. This will allow you to go into the customer ledger entry table and send copies of posted sales invoices if you want to. So all of these are pre-configured. Right here you'll see the list of the NAV reports that will be converted. So let's take a look at the posted sales invoice. We go into edit, and this is the report ID that's going to be converted. Now everybody that I've worked with NAV for over 20 years, and I've not yet seen anybody who uses the default native NAV report. Everybody has their own custom report, and it's 50,002 or 50,010 or 20, whatever the number is. All you do is enter the report ID here, and that's the document number. We've had people say, well, can I have the subject of the email say job number as well as invoice number? And the answer is yes. When you go into the subject line, you can modify the subject line. So you see how we did that it knew what the sales order number was, the sales invoice number. We say sales invoice, and then we enclose the field that has the posted sales invoice number in square brackets. So this is how we do merges. Now you can add this in and say job number, and if your job number is on the posted sales invoice, then you can put the job number in here as well, for example. Now, we can add additional templates, but we want to take a look and see where the message body came from, and this is a message body. So again, we use all of this information enclosed in square brackets. You can use colors, you can add anything else in, and as I said, this is a stock template that comes along, and what you would do is if you want to change it, all you have to do is change it. If you happen to be conversant in HTML, there's the actual HTML code that you can go in and modify. Or you can use an external HTML editor, create your own HTML document and go in and say import, and then it will import it and overwrite this. Any field in the posted sales invoice header, in fact on the posted sales invoice, can be used in the merge by enclosing the caption in square brackets. And instructions come along on how to do this. We provide this template. You can use it if you want. You don't have to. Now, for those people, and there aren't so many in the US, but we sell this, as I said, all over the world. And we sold this many years ago to a company in Sweden who said, if you can't allow us to create a message body in other languages, it doesn't do us much good, because in Sweden there aren't that many people in the world who speak Swedish. So we allow you to go in here and change the language code, and the language, we don't translate it, but we will give you a link to the language code on the customer card that you can put in whatever message you want in whatever language you want. So if you have some French Canadian, some people in Montreal that prefer to receive their communication in French, and you speak enough French to be able to generate a message in French, you can create it in any language you want, and as many copies of templates as you want. And there's a whole, if you want to build shortcuts, there's a whole drop down for all of the fields that are available that you can just simply click on this and it'll add the field in. So it's very easy to create whatever it is that you want for a message body. Now, up at the top, we have several fields that are very important. One of them is these fields right here, batch when posted and send when posted. You can have one or the other checked or neither. If you don't have either one of these checked, then when you post a sales order, nothing will happen. On the other hand, if you check send when posted, then during the posting routine, it will automatically create the email that you saw and send it automatically. Most people, however, prefer to use the function. I have some people that do want it. They said, we've got it set up, we know what the message is, it's all been approved, we don't want to touch it again, and that's fine. Most people, however, use batch when posted, and what that does is it creates a batch of invoices that a supervisor, for example, can review and then punch a button and send them all. And we're going to take a look at a couple batches in a second. So if you have batch when posted checked, then during the posting routine, a line is created in a batch that you can open up and send. Now we have some people who, when they send their batches, also, in addition to their invoice, want to create an additional document that gets sent along with the posted sales invoice. So we have the ability to add in additional attachments. This might be, for example, on a posted sales invoice, might be terms and conditions. Okay. Frequently, though, we'll have people that say they have a two-page invoice. The front page is the invoice and the back page is the terms and conditions. You can set it up so that it automatically will put in another document, whatever document you want. Now I happen to have my flyers here, so I can add this in. If I say this is the one I want, then automatically every single time I send a posted sales invoice, I'm going to send that document as well, automatically. I'm going to delete that from here because we're going to look at that again when we get to batches. Okay, so now we've seen where the message comes from. We've seen also a little bit about the additional attachments. Now let's go over to the customer card, and we'll go into order processing and customers. And we'll pick the Canon group because I have that one set up, so we go to edit. There are two things that we've added on the customer card. One is a fast tab called Easy PDF. Now, you saw on the document setup card that you can batch when posted or you can send when posted. Now the question is how do you want the system to automatically perform that? We have a preferred communication method. How does your customer want to receive their communication? Do they want to have it printed and mailed in the old-fashioned way that you have to put it in an envelope and put a stamp? Some people insist on that. So by customer, you can set up how they're going to receive their communication. In this case, we've set it up by email. They could be set up by fax. I will tell you that I've done this presentation for people in Europe, and the people in Europe, nobody uses fax anymore, but they still do here. So we will allow you to use fax. It's a topic that I don't want to go into too much at this point. Suffice it to say that we can send faxes. Or we may want to have no action. And the reason we added that function in was because some companies use EDI, and the electronic document interface allows them to send their documents electronically, and they don't want anything to happen when they post their sales orders. So they would check for this customer, no actions. We're going to leave it set at email because, and we had it set on the setup card, batch when posted. Let's take a look one more thing on the customer card, and that is how did we know how to find the email addresses. Okay, so on the Actions tab in the Easy PDF section, we have an address book. And if we open it up, you can see that we have the ability to say we want to send different documents to different email addresses. Posted sales invoices go to this email address and to this email address. We could have said CC it. So now it's going to be primary to this and CC to that. Some companies want to have their salesperson CC'd on posted sales orders by customer. So you can do that too. You can set it up that a document is emailed or faxed to as many email addresses as you want. Customer statements go here. Sales orders go to the purchasing department along with sales quotes, and posted sales shipments, the notification of what actually got shipped, goes to the warehouse. So you have all of these different documents going to all of these different email addresses. Now we have some customers who say, I don't really care about this. Do I have to go into every customer card and set up all of these documents? Well, if you have a customer where all of the documents are going to go to the same address, or if you send a document, like for example, if you send a document that you haven't configured here. For example, I have not configured credit memos, posted credit memos. If I send a posted credit memo, the program is going to look first to the address book and see if I've specified an address specifically for that document. And if not, it's going to go over to the address and contact card and pick up this email address. So if you have a customer that all documents are going to go to one email address, there's no need to go in and configure everything individually in the address book. It'll automatically default back to whatever's in here. And if there's nothing in here, it'll simply open the email and wait for you to populate an email address. So now we've looked at how does it know whether to email it, fax it, or print it? How does it know what email address? How does it know what report to convert? And how does it know what message to use on the email? So now let's take a look at some of the automation functions. Let's go over to right where we were actually. We're going to open up a sales order, and we're going to create a new sales order. And we hit enter to assign a number, and we'll use 1,000, my customer where I've set up email addresses, and we'll put in an item, and the type we'll use 1928-S, and we'll put in 2 of them, and we'll put in another item 1968-S, and we'll put in one of them. So now we're going to post the order. Ship an invoice. Now if we only ship or only invoice, then the program will do the associated function. So if we have it set up to send a posted shipment document, then when we ship, it'll send that document, and not the invoice because we haven't invoiced yet. If we subsequently then click on the invoicing, it will then create the invoice batch. If we say ship an invoice, you might have two batches set up, one for the shipment, the posted sales shipment, and one for the posted sales invoice. So it says the order has been posted and moved to the posted sales invoice window. Do you want to open the window? No, I don't care. I believe that it was a posted invoice. But what I do want to do is I want to go over to our batches. So I open up the Easy PDF window, and we have a section here called Easy PDF Batch Queues. Now, Easy PDF Batch Queues, here we have a line, and this is what's going to be sent. This is who's going to get the document. This is going to be the email address it's going to go to. This is the value of the posted sales invoice. It's going to get sent by email, but you can change that if you want. If you want to preview it, you can show the report. So there's the report, and in fact, as you can see, it has one 1928-S Amsterdam lamp and one 1968 Mexico swivel chair.
Bob, can you pause just a moment so that we can,
Sure.
our screen can catch up here? It's moving a little slow, it seems like.
Let me know when you're ready.
I've got the sales invoice now, thank you.
Okay. So what's going to happen is that every time you post another sales order today, it's going to create a batch in posted sales invoice for this date. So all of the additional invoices will be additional lines on this batch. So if you post 35, 40, 50 lines, there'll be 35 or 40 or 50 lines here that will automatically get sent when you click on Send Batch. Okay? Now, if you've made a mistake, you could delete the batch. If you open this up and say this was created incorrectly, you can delete it and redo it. If you click on Show Document, it'll show you the posted sales invoice, the NAV posted sales invoice. And if you click on Show Recipient, it will open up the customer card. So that if, for example, you've forgotten to put an email address in here, you can either add it in and correct it here one time, or you can click on the Show Recipient, go back to the customer card, and fix it permanently. So at that point, you say Send Batch, out go all of your day's invoices. If you failed to send them out today, that batch will be here tomorrow, and you can send it tomorrow. Depending on how you've configured the program to create batches, tomorrow it will create a new batch, posted sales invoice with tomorrow's date. There are various different parameters, and there's some control over how it creates batches, but this is the most common way of doing it. So now we have a batch. We've automatically created. Now you'll see that it automatically checked Consolidate Email. What happens if you have more than one invoice that's been created in the batch going to the same customer? Rather than sending multiple emails, because without this checked, each line will generate an email with an attachment. However, if we put a check mark in Consolidate Email, it will send one email with multiple attachments. Now you do have to be a little careful and know who it is you're sending to, so that you don't send an email that's too big for them to be able to receive. So this is how we do batches. Now batches can be created for pretty much anything that has a trigger. A trigger is a posting routine. So the posted sales shipment, we can have a batch automatically created for all of the posted sales shipments and send them out to the warehouse to notify them of what's on its way. Same thing with posted sales credit memos. Anything that has posted can be set up to have a batch. But that's not the only thing that can be set up to have a batch. So if we go into sales and go back to sales and marketing and order processing, and we take a look at the customer list, and we go over to actions, and over here, now we have right here batch send customer statement. So if you're sending out customer statements, you can create a batch of customer statements in a second. So we click on this. It says start date. So let's put in, this is NAV 2017. So I have to, and the demo data starts in 2018. So I'm going to enter in start date is 03/01/18 to 03/31/18. Otherwise, I'm going to get a batch of nothing. This is the print request box that's native NAV. We didn't create this. This is how you control who's going to get a customer statement. Do you want to log an interaction in NAV, the marketing part of it? Nah, I don't want to do that. Do I want to include an aging band? Sure. Do I want to include all customers with ledger entries? Does everybody get one as long as they have ledger entries, or only customers with a balance? We want to show overdue entries. Sure. So we click OK. The program spins through, and it opens it up and says, here is the customer statement list. All of these are the customer statements that are going to get sent. Now you notice that we don't have any recipient address here, but you don't need it because these are set up to print. If you do want to change this, and you can globally have everything say send to email, but you better have an email address in here. If you don't, it won't send it. When you hit send batch, everything that it is successfully able to send will get a check mark that it says it's been delivered. Now it doesn't actually know if the sender received it, but as far as we're concerned, it has been successfully sent. Okay? Now again, if you want to go in here and say show report, we can preview the report. There's the statement. This is what's going to go out. If you don't like it, you can delete the line. Now, this whole functionality that I talked about before about additional attachments came up because we had a customer in the Cayman Islands who said that when I send my customer statements, I also want to send out my monthly flyer of specials. So I want to be able to send, in addition to the customer statement, I want to send this other flyer. And you can use a PDF, and you can see it in it. So everybody's going to get the customer statement, and they're going to get this. This is a global setting. We thought that was pretty good until somebody else came back and said, that's fine, but I want to send something else to just this one customer. So we created line attachments so that we can say, we're going to, I don't know, it doesn't matter. So now this guy is going to get this attachment, and everybody, including this guy, is going to get this attachment. Now there's one other field on here, merge PDF attachments, and that actually goes back to where we were on posted sales invoices. Consolidate email, we've set it up to automatically be checked. By default, it was automatically going to be checked. This is a setup function. You can automatically have it designed to consolidate email or not. You can also have it merge PDF attachments. So let's say that the customer has 3 posted sales invoices. Instead of consolidating them to a single email, we're going to merge the PDF documents into a single PDF document. So the customer gets one email with one PDF attachment with all 3 documents merged together. Again, that's something that you can opt to. My own personal feeling is that makes me a little nervous, because what happens if they open the PDF and they don't realize that there's more than one page? but that's a preference. Maybe if your customers are trained to recognize multi-page invoices, then that doesn't make any difference. We could have had the additional attachments automatically default to have the terms and conditions. So there's a lot of flexibility here. This function, which we just took a look at, and by the way, if you click on the batch name, you'll see all of the batches that are open that have not yet been sent. So if we see a batch here, that means that there's lines on this batch that have not yet been sent, and you'll want to go in and deal with it. So that's where we generate some of the automation. Automatically generate batches, lists of customer statements. This can also be used to send batches of reminders, which is a severely underutilized function. In my years of working with NAV, I probably have only seen 15 or 20 companies in 20 years using reminders, and if you're not familiar with them, they've been in, reminders have been in native NAV from the very first day. They're a fantastic tool, and I strongly suggest that you go in and do a search on additional information or talk to your NAV partner about using reminders. They're very, very powerful, and everybody's got them. Okay, so moving on, we've talked about customer statements. Now, there's a couple other things that we can do. We mentioned that, let's go back to departments, and we go to the order processing and open up the customer. So let's open up the Canon group again, because I like them. They buy a lot, but they don't pay so well. And we go over here, and you see that they owe us $256,289. So if you click on this, and this is native NAV, if you click on this, you'll open up a list of all of the orders that are open. These are open and pending invoices. Okay, so you can see document type is invoice. So your accounting department calls them up and to find out why they haven't paid the invoices, and the customer says the dog ate the invoices, or you sent them to the wrong person, or that person's on vacation, or he's no longer with us. Can you resend them? And they think they're going to buy some time because you got to reprint them and you got to put them in an envelope. In fact, what you can do is highlight whichever ones you want and say send to let's go over to actions, say send selected items to batch, and it will open up a batch with all 4 of these. Consolidate emails automatically checked. When you hit send batch, it's going to, Bob at Dynamics NAV Addons is going, and Phil are going to get all 4 of these on a single email. All 4 attachments. That fast. So that all you have to do is say, listen, open up your email because here come the copies. Let me know when you receive them. It's pretty good. Now, one of the things that we just recently added, this is the final function, and that is the ability to not only send all of the 23 different documents that I showed you, but now we've added and this is only for NAV 2015, 16, and 17. It's not for the older versions. So if we go over to departments and open up Easy PDF, we've added, let's take a look at the history. Before I do that last feature, let's take a look at history. So every time you send a document, it's going to make an entry in the history table. So you can take this and you can, for example, filter it if you want to see just the entries. So let's say by recipient number, and let's take a look at all of the documents that we've sent. So we put in 3,000. This is native NAV filtering, and these are the 2 documents that we've sent. And one's vendor 3. This is the recipient number. So we picked up the vendor and the customer. So in fact, if we want to open this one up, now since we have attachments to this, If you have opted in setup to save the actual attachment to the document, you can click Show, and the program is going to open up. Well, let's go back and try a different one, because I know this. Let's pull up this one and say Show, and you can see that we have 2 invoices attached to this, and if you want to, you can, there are the invoices. So you can actually save the documents that have been attached. They're both the same thing. Okay? You can save it. You can see on the history who it was sent to, the email address it was sent to. You can see the document number that got sent, who sent it, the date and time it was sent, what the sender name and address appeared to the customer, that alias that we talked about, the recipient name, what was the subject of the email, how it got sent, was it printed, emailed, or faxed, and what attachments were there. Now there's one other thing in NAV. If you want to, you can archive copies of sales quotes and sales invoices, and this allows you to be able to select which archived version. You can actually send a specific archived version, and it will tell you which archived version got sent if you're using archived versions. So a complete audit trail of everything that got sent, and we also have it set up so that it will automatically prune this, because if you're sending a lot of emails, this table could get rather large, and we can set it so that at the end of 90 days, on the 91st day, the oldest entries automatically drop off, along with the attachments. Now I'm going to get to the final. So we've got history. We've taken a look at oops, didn't mean to go that far out. Let's open it back up. Come on, Nav. So now we've looked at the fact that we store a history entry. We have automation for any posted record, sending of batches, automatically sending during posting if that's how you prefer to do it. We have individualized messages, individualized settings. One final thing that we've added to NAV 2015, 16, and 17, and that is Easy PDF Report List. So not only can you send any NAV document, posted sales invoice, but you can also create a list of reports that you want to send. So in fact, I've got aged accounts receivable, because that is something that the accounting department wants, and also the customer order summary so that you can see your weekly sales. We have a message template that's been set up, and we have a distribution list. So who's going to get this report? So if we open up this, we see that we can add in, just as we had in the address book, we can add in a distribution list for this report. So all you have to do is say send report, and out it goes. Now I've had the question, can this be automated? The problem we've run into and haven't solved yet on being able to automate this and say automatically send it is that most of the reports that are going to be sent like this are date-driven reports. So that we need to be able to specify the date range for the report. So that means that what we do is we're going to open, when we hit send report, it's going to open up a print request box so that you can put in the posting date, the date filters, and any other filters that you want. Then it will run the report and create the email and say here's the weekly report, aged accounts receivable, automatically send it out to all of the emails in the email book. This is something that we've just added in the last couple months. We added another thing in the last couple months also, and that is the ability to go into purchasing bring up a list of open POs. So we have a list of open POs, and anything that's been released, let's say we want to say status is released, and we want to take all of these and we want to send these over, send selected to batch. So you can create a batch of POs to go out based on any filtered value. If you just want to send them out to one particular vendor, that's fine. If you want to send all released documents, that's fine. You can filter based on any value you want, and then just as we did in the vendor ledger entry, in the customer ledger entry table, you can send a batch of POs that need to go out. So that is, I will tell you that we had one customer in Nebraska who was using this, a fairly good-sized company, said that they reported in the first year they saved over $50,000 in postage and handling using EasyPDF. So it's a very, very simple program to use, quick to set up, quick to use. And that concludes the features. Suzanne, are there any questions?
Yes, there is, and that's actually a good segue to our first question here. When you're setting up the preferred communication method, can you select multiple, such as both print and email?
Print, at this point, your choices are manually you can print an email, but in the automation it's going to be one or the other. We've had some requests for the ability to print a hard copy as well as email. That could certainly be accommodated if it was necessary. It's not a difficult thing to modify out of the box. It's either print or email or fax. But if you went to a posted sales invoice, you would see that manually you can email and print a hard copy. So there's no reason we couldn't do that. We have not done it so far. Let's go over to the posted sales invoice and open it up. We view, and we're on the sales shipment, so let's go to invoices and view. And when we go to send by so yes.
Sorry, it's a bit of delay. I want to go to webinar with the screen refreshes, so pardon that.
Okay, so manually you can in fact do that. You can send by email plus print, but in the preferred communication method setup we have not added that function. No reason we can't.
Okay, great. Good question. Thank you so much. Next question is, I'm sorry, could you repeat what versions of NAV does EasyPDF work with?
The latest features on NAV 2015, 16, and 17. We also will work with 2013, 2013 R2, 2009 SP1, 2009 R2, and we've stopped adding the new features in unless somebody has a special request, but I still have the basics available for NAV 5.0 SP1 and 4.0 SP3. I still sent something out to somebody using 3.7, which is 15 years old at this point. The key, though, for older versions is that you must be current on your NAV maintenance with Microsoft, because if you're not, Microsoft will not allow you to add anything to your NAV license. This isn't a requirement of ours, it's a requirement of Microsoft, and unfortunately you have to be current with Microsoft or they won't allow you to add EasyPDF to your license.
Just another reason to consider that upgrade, right?
Just consider the upgrade. And 2015, 16, and 17, they all have the latest features, including the HTML and the report sending functions and all of the latest functions. When you start getting older than that, the HTML drops off and the ability to send reports drops off in 2013 and 2009.
Okay. Great. And then last question I have thus far is, what's the cost for EasyPDF?
For the cost for EasyPDF, I strongly suggest that you contact your NAV partner and ask them. Normally, under normal circumstances, we try always to sell through the NAV partner for several reasons. One is we want to support their effort. Number two is that they have to be involved to the extent of adding EasyPDF to your NAV license. And sometimes they will want to do the implementation, and sometimes they will want us to do the implementation. So for pricing, contact your Archer Point rep or whoever your rep is. They will contact me if they don't know.
Great. All right, Bob. I think that's all the questions we have for now. If you think of anything afterwards to our audience, please feel free to send it into info@archerpoint.com. Hey, if you're interested in more Dynamics NAV Addons products, we actually will be doing another session with Bob on February 22nd regarding Dimension Manager, which allows you to add, modify, delete any dimension value on any posted record in NAV. So check out our events page for that. We do appreciate everyone setting aside some time out of their busy day for this webinar. We hope you consider it time well spent. Please send us your feedback, topics for future Lunch and Learn webinars, or questions to info@archerpoint.com. Again, thank you for your time. This concludes today's session. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.